Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Shorav, and in this video I'm going to talk about how to tweak your UI in Firefox browser. So you guys have probably heard that Chrome is going to eliminate Manifest v2 in favor of Manifest v3. And Manifest v2 has to do with the extension platform and how the extensions are working in your Chrome browser. But updating the version will break a lot of stuff, and your ad blockers or other privacy focused extensions will be breaking. This isn't a good news for a lot of people, so they're kind of migrating to Firefox browser from Chrome browser, right? And the two problems in Firefox is that the UI is not as good as Chrome. So the UI, for example, you cannot change the background, you can't have some effects like Chrome, right? The other problem is that the WebGL performance is really poor in Firefox. That's another problem, but this is actually getting better and better day by day, so I hope that it will be fast as fast as Chrome browser. But today I'm going to talk about how we can actually modify the UI in the Firefox browser. So this is really ugly. You can change the background. So if you go to Chrome browser, for example, you have ways to customize the theme, right? So you can upload background from your device, and you can change the background and those stuff. And it is actually not as customizable as Firefox. But you can see that we have effects like, for example, if you click on the cancel button, it kind of a round shape kind of fills up the cancel button, but Chrome doesn't have such features, and I kind of hate that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to customize the whole UI and show you how to do it yourself as well. And I'm going to link a CSS file. I'll be uploading that on GitHub, and you can download that and use my file or tweak it as you like it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first go to About Support. So this is the page 1, and I'm going to open the profile directory. So this is here, profile directory, and I'm going to open that. I'm going to keep that minimized. That's number one thing. And the other thing I'm going to do is I will go About Config, and this is the scary thing, but don't worry, nothing will happen unless you make the close button like fill the whole web browser. That will be terrible, but I'm going to do that, and I'll be searching for style sheet. And from the style sheet you can see that we have the optional toolkit legacy user profile customizations dot style sheets. Just toggle it to true, right? You can just double click to toggle, or just click the button here, and this is done. And what I'm going to do is that I have another profile, right? So I'll be opening that profile. You don't have to do that because, well, it makes sense that you don't have this customization already. So I'm going to do About Profiles. And this is the number 3 things I hate about Firefox. You have to go to About Profiles directly. You don't have way to change it from here, right? So what I'll do is I'll open the profile called Dev Edition Default. And you can see that I have a bunch of new tabs, and you can see that it is really customized, right? You can see that we have modified tiles, and we have some kind of nice hover effect. We have modified menus here, and if you click on the context menu, you can see that we have images under, for example, if you click on menus, you have similar images and some kind of effects going on here. You can see that if I hover on the tabs, it kind of fades, so it has a transition, and everything of this can be done with just CSS. So what I'll do is I'm going to also go to the About Support, but in a different fashion. So I'll click here, and I'm going to go to Help, and from here I'll go to the More Troubleshooting Information, and it is the same About Support page. I'm going to open the directory, a profile directory, and I'll be closing the browser because I don't need that. And I have a Chrome folder here. What you can do is I'll be linking into GitHub, and you can download this folder, paste it in your directory. So I'm going to paste it in some other directories that I have. And what I will do is I'll copy this one. I'll be moving this to this directory, right? So this is the default user directory. and this is my other profile, and I'm going to copy this one. So what we have done is we have created the Chrome directory, and inside the Chrome directory I have the bg image and the menu pop-up, and I have the user chrome.css, user content.css. So I'll be closing extra files that I have. Yeah, everything looks great. So what I'll be doing is I'll be closing the browser first, and I'll be restarting it. And you can see that we have the background and all kind of effects here. The downside is that you can still see that these blank tiles are really blank, right? So that's the downside. But yeah, but we have those kind of effects and stuff, and it is totally friendly with the dark mode or other themes, light mode, gray mode, solarized mode, whatever you want. So you name it, it works with all the things that you have, and it is super nice. So let's explain the CSS that we have here and how I actually wrote that. So I'll be talking about that in a moment. So this is the user chrome.css, and this is the user content.css. What is Chrome? Chrome isn't the Chrome browser, of course. Chrome is this UI that Firefox has, and user content is the page. So for example, if you try to open and inspect the element, you can see that from the inspector, you can see that I can inspect this stuff, right? So that's how you get the name. For example, this is the context menu, and I have actually modified the context menu. So you can see that I have modified span, context menu, and I set the background to transparent and the backdrop filter to blur. So the blur filter has to be enabled. That's one thing you need to do. So you also need to go to the about config again. Not this one, I made a typo. About config, and accept the risk and type blur, and here not this one, backdrop filter, right, because that's the CSS thing. And you can see that I have the backdrop filter enabled, set to true, and if you set to false it will not work, but I'm seeing that it is actually enabled by default nowadays, so that's a good thing. You can see that my context menu has the backdrop filter set to blur 8 pixel, and that's why when you click the context menu you can see that the background is blurred, right? That's what happens. Now you can actually inspect all the elements here. So in vanilla Firefox you have the search bar here, but you can see the search bar here in this case, right? You can see that I have the image set on the pseudo element of the body, right? And you can just inspect that and go to the body, and you can see that we have this pseudo element, and you can toggle the background. Sometimes it doesn't work, you can toggle it and you don't see any effect. So what you'll do is you just move your cursor over there and it fixes, right? So sometimes this happens because I don't think this is redrawn all the time, because that will be wastage of our CPU power, I don't know, but yeah, that's how it works actually. And this is called the user content, and the parts here, for example, this close button and these tabs, the plus icon, right? These are from user chrome.css. So you cannot actually inspect these elements, right? So you cannot do that. You are just supposed to inspect this page, and that's why I can write this. So the question is that how do you actually write the how are you supposed to know what this is called, right? So if you try to open the user Chrome, you can see that I have the menu pop-up, right, which is customized, and I have the menu pop-up content area context menu. I have the arrow scroll box and stuff. So arrow scroll box is the pop-up, for example, where you are seeing the images, right? So you can see that I have set the image before the arrow scroll box class, and this image is shown here. So how are you supposed to know all of this stuff? This is from actually, so what you need to do is you need to open the console again. I am doing it from F12, and you can click these 3 buttons here. So let me zoom in a little bit and go to the settings. You can also press the F1 button and go to the settings, and from the settings just come down absolutely and enable the browser Chrome and add-on debugging toolbox. It will give you the access to a special toolbox from where you can inspect all of the stuff. So I'm just going to enable that, And this is super important. So if I enable that, nothing will happen, right? But I also need to enable the remote debugging. So this is super important. So I have to do both, and you will see later why this is the case. So I'll just close that, and I can go to the developer option, or I can do it from here as well. So I'll go to more tools, and I'll be selecting the browser toolbox, and it will open the toolbox. So if I cancel, there's a shortcut again, Control Shift Alt I, right? So if you do that, you have this box here, just press OK, and you, just like the inspect element, will have access to the inspect element for this, for the inside of the browser, right? So you cannot actually inspect the user content.css, right? You can inspect anything from here, but you can inspect all of the stuff. For example, I've selected the address bar, and if I try to change the color to solid white, for example, I can set it to, let's say, FF, or maybe FE, or maybe DDD. You can see that it is kind of a gray color, and if you type something, you can still see that, but well, not that great, right? So from here you can do all sort of stuff with your browser. For example, I have now selected the plus button, and if I change the background color to, let's say, 000, it will be black, right? No matter what the theme is, it will be black. So it will be this black on white. But in this case, the animation I added, for example, is on the spacer. So it has some padding. And if you change the background color here, let's say I change the background to some lime green or something. Not this one though. So this is the toolbar button, and under the toolbar button you have the image, right? So you change the color to lime green, and you can see that we have this lime green color, but it doesn't apply to all the things. These toolboxes, this can have different things here. So if you try to inspect that again, and if you select that, you have the stack class, right, instead of image. But same thing here. So if you change the background to, let's say aqua, or maybe azure, or whatever, I don't know all the colors here, let's say blue violet, you can see that it is actually giving you the nice padding instead of actually filling the whole thing in the color, right? So this is the first element. So that's how it is actually working. The CSS is just saying so. And when you are in the context menu, so context menu cannot be inspected directly. So let's say you click this pop-up and you try to bring this up, right? The pop-up will be gone, the context menu will be gone, right? So if you try to set that always on top and bring the context menu, you can still do that. So my trick is to, actually this is my personal trick, there could be a better way. What I do is that I click here and I bring the pop-up menu, and I can inspect just like that. Right? So what I'll do is, there is the pop-up menu still, but the display is set to something else. So what I'll do is, I'll go here in the menu pop-up, and from the menu pop-up I can set the display to block, for example, and you can see that we have the pop-up menu here. So if I press any button here, it will not work, except the context menu, right? Because the context menu is from user content.css. So if I resize the stuff, if I change the direction, you can see that it is actually frozen, but it can do a lot of different kind of things. So so you will discover a lot of bugs if you just place the context menu like that, but it is good for debugging. So what you can do, for example, is change the background of the arrow scroll box, and you can see that it doesn't update all the time, right? You have changed the background, but if you set the background to transparent and hover here, sometimes it works and sometimes it might not work, because it doesn't update all the time, it doesn't refresh this part of the screen. So this is quite good to give you the idea how to debug all the stuff here. And this is the user content.css, user chrome.css here. So you have the menu pop-up, context take screenshot. So you can see that actually I found all the buttons here. For example, the buttons, let me restart the browser because the context menu is gone. So if you try to click here, I don't have the screenshot button, I don't have send page to device button, I don't have send link to device button, I don't have inspect A11Y, which is inspect the accessibility of in the menu. So I don't have those stuff. I don't have bookmark link, bookmark page, because I find them super annoying. So if you open a page, for example Wikipedia, if you load it up, it takes time, I don't know why, but you can see that I don't have those pages. And I do have Pocket, but you can actually disable Pocket from about config again, right? You can disable it here. So I'm not going to do that right now because I think I need to restart the browser again. Oh, okay, let's do that. I'm not sure if that is going to work, but I just set all of these to false, right? So I don't like Pocket. I don't think anyone likes Pocket, but yeah, there could be exception, of course. So yeah, you can see that if I open Wikipedia again, do you have Pocket? It is taking time today. So I don't have Pocket here again anymore. So you can see that we are actually disabling all the buttons here. So for example, if I remove this CSS style, you can see that we have inspect accessibility properties, we have view page source. I don't like this button, to be honest, right? So I don't need that. You can still view the page source, of course, but I am hiding a lot of buttons from here, right? So they are super critical, and I don't need those buttons. And also you can see that I have the background here. There's a problem with the indentation because of the Genie editor, but yeah, I'll fix that before uploading. So let's fix that. And you can see that I have the arrow scroll box before, which is the image is shown. So this is actually a pseudo element where the image is actually shown. And we have the menu item menu, and the color is set to FFF. It is super important. If you don't set it to FFF, it will not be readable, and you can actually change the colors to change the font size or font weight to bold, right? So these are the menu items, and these are the items, but when it comes to menu, so these will be the menu. So move tab is a menu, right? The other thing is that close multiple tabs is also a menu. So if you change the font weight to bold, and it is super important to restart your browser, right? So restart the browser, and you can see that the font weight is in bold, right? This is quite nice, and you also have these kind of things going on. So here is a gradient that I have. So when you are hovering over items, for example like this, you have this nice gradient. It could be nice or couldn't be, so many people might not like it, so they will just change the colors, or they will just remove the code overall. It's good to have something so you can have the reference and you can edit them very easily than having nothing. So that's mostly for that purpose, for the demonstration purpose, but you can remove the code if you don't like the linear gradients. And you also have this kind of things going on. So you are hovering over the items and you have this nice animation, right? So the background position is setting to 0. So the background size is actually 500% and the background position is 100%. So from 100% it is going to 0%. That's what it's doing. And we also have things like menu pop-up menu item disabled. So when an item is disabled, you set the opacity to 0.75, for example. The select all tabs, because there's one tab, you can see that this opacity is less, right? So this is all the codes that we have currently, and the indentation is messed up due to the Genie editor. Genie is nice, but yeah, this is the problem in Genie. It can't auto detect space or tabs nicely enough. So that's the thing. And in user content, you can see that we have actually in the first line, I've set the transition time and transition time to these kind of times in time intervals. So I have done that to eliminate repeating codes, right? Because I don't want to go to every place and change 0.5 second to 0.33 second if I don't like 0.5 second interval. So it is easier to do here and call this code, call this variable whenever I need that, right? So you can see that I'm disabling the search wrapper and the inner wrappers, and I'm setting the margin to 0 on the search wrapper and the logo word mark, and all sort of stuff going on with the search wrapper. And under that, you can see that I have the span context menu, and I have already described that. You have the backdrop filter and no background color, and you have the top side inner, top side button tile and those stuff. So these are the stuff, right, as I presume. So these are set to, these have the blur and the box shadow, and the background color is set to transparent again. So sometimes I like to use 0000 or 0000000, which means the opacity, right? So 4 works here perfectly well. So you have the background color set to transparent, and there's the box shadow and transition as well. So here I'm using that variable again. Anyway, so the other things is that you have the top side outer hover and top side inner, top side button tile. You can see that when I'm hovering, the tiles are getting larger and the box shadow is disappearing, right? So that's what it does. And all the hover effects and stuff, I don't need this rule, I guess. So this is for the search wrapper. I don't need this. And down below you have the top side outer hover, top side inner, these hover filters, and we don't have the backdrop filter when you are actually hovering on them, right? So the backdrop filter is gone, and you don't have the blur effect when you are hovering on them. And under there, this is the code where this BJ image is sitting, right? And you have the pinkish color. So if you don't have the image, for example, if you have an invalid image name and you try to restart the browser, you see this pink color, because it is better to have some colors rather than black, for example, because the pink color matches the color of the image that I have, kind of, not really exactly, but it kind of matches. So in case where the image can be corrupted, I still can read something rather than nothing, right? So that's what it is doing, and it is kind of responsive with background size cover. So for example, if you enable pocket or something, I can go down and well, you need to actually disable the pocket from here as well, from about config and here. But if I enable that and go down, you can see that the page, the image doesn't actually scroll or image doesn't repeat itself, right? And this is super important. It doesn't matter if the browser is stretched or whatever. So the image will be always there in the center. The image can get pixelized if you are trying to make it super big. The image should be bigger in that case, and that will take some time to load. Make sure that your image is optimized and your image has low quality. So not that quality, but let's say in Image Magic you can change the quality of the image, right? So you can do Image Magic, not this one. You can use Convert, and you can set the quality to, let's say, 70, and that will significantly reduce the image size. And this is important because if you're using hard disk drive, that will be really slow. So you want to make your image smaller and make something sane, right? You don't need an 8K image here. So if you use a huge image, that will take long time and your tabs will be slow, and it will also use some significantly more amount of RAM. So make the image smaller, like just HD image, that will be enough, I think, because nobody is going to stretch their browser like that, and nobody is going to use that. So it is better just to match your screen size at max. So if you are maximizing with F11, that will fit your look and feel, and that's why it is important, but don't make it bigger, right? So that's a tip. So yeah, that's how the whole thing is actually working, and you can do even more. So if you are trying to add your new styles here, just make sure to fork my GitHub repository, and from there you can create a new directory called theme2 or something like that, whatever you name it, and just give me a PR, and if that's good, that will be enough. That might help a lot of people. So that will be awesome. And you can see that I really like this idea of having this kind of effect here. So in my Linux theme, I have actually created those stuff as well. So if you go to any buttons, right? Let's say color picker. Do I have buttons? Yeah, here. You can see that I have this kind of effect going on. So this is actually fork of vmix theme, I guess. It was forked in 2018. So we have this kind of effects here as well, but I would really like to add those. So if you do that yourself, just give a PR and that will be awesome. It is not really hard to get this effect in CSS, of course, but if you are trying to, I guess if you're trying to follow the cursor, you do have to do with the JavaScript, and that will make things complicated. But yeah, just keep it simple. If you're trying to add that, just give it PR and I shall accept that, and that would be great. So yeah, that's it, and that's how you can actually customize your Firefox browser. It's a little bit difficult, of course. You need to know CSS, but CSS is so human readable. Of course, these stuff are not human readable. Why there's a hash, why there's a dot, but anyone can just go to the user content.css and change the image name, right? They don't actually have to change the image name from here. So if they don't like this image, they can just replace this image with something else and call it BG image as well, right? So that will be enough. So if they don't like this menu pop-up, they will use something else. So I guess that's it. Probably that is helpful, and that will let you change your theme in Firefox. And Firefox, I don't know how headed it is sometimes, and everyone uses Chrome, Edge, and Brave and other browsers Chromium based, but Firefox is not that bad. Firefox is actually for these nerds or geeks who can do a lot of stuff, who can read a lot of documentation, but it is not that hard to get stuff done. So I guess this will be helpful, right? Again, thank you very much for watching. If you are enjoying this kind of videos, I'll be coming with more videos. Sometimes I don't have the time right now, but I hope I can come with more videos. And please subscribe to my channel so that I'll be motivated to make more videos, right? So that's it, I guess, and probably it was helpful. Thank you again. Bye. Have a good day.